How's it going, guys? Ranger Squid here, coming at you with episode 4 of the album rankings of the year for 2019 for myself. In this video, we will be covering ranks 29 to 25. Now, before we begin, just to remember, for all of you that have been staying with me this entire time, these are my opinions. Please do not be upset when I rank something lower than you think that it deserves. If it made this list, it's a really good album. Or it just barely made the mark if it's like near the top, like an honorable mention or something. But please do not be upset if I rank, let's say, like, for example, Motionless in White was number 43. And people are going to be upset about that. But that's okay. That's their opinion. This is my opinion. So, now that we've covered that, let us begin our rankings for today with, first off, covering the fact that in the last video, we ended with Oh Sleeper's Bloodied Unbowed. And so, at rank 29 and 28, because this is a dual album combination I want to talk about that I believe both go together. Even though one of the albums was released today, we have Our Last Nights, Overcome the Darkness, and Let Light Overcome. Or as is better said, Let Light Overcome the Darkness. So, with these albums, I think that on their own, I think that the first album they released this year was much better than this release that came out today. I thought that today's release was a little bit lacking. Mainly lyrically, I thought that it literally was the exact same song over on repeat. The previous album, though, Let Light Overcome, had some absolute fucking bangers on it. Castles in the Sky, Bury the Hatchet, etc. It just had some good songs on it. But once again, they put on this, okay, we're only going to release 8 songs this year so that we can release another album or 2 in the next year. And basically keep fueling music that sounds the exact same over and over and over and over again. And I think that the single that they released before Overcome the Darkness, Let It Sleep or something like that, the very last song on that album that came out today was the best song they released for the album. But then they put it at the very end of the track. It's like, what the fuck is this? You start the album with this. Why? Or at least put it in the middle. Like, don't put it at the very end. That's my biggest complaint about it, is that it sounds like all their other stuff, except a few of the singles that came out with it. It's super short on its own. If you combine them together, it's not bad. But then it just gets really long if you combine them all together, like the 8 to 16 songs. And then, lyrically, it's just metalcore. Just, oh my god, if you're going through trouble, I'll be there for you. I'll be able to catch you. Or, I fucking hate this. I can't go through with this. I need to suffer. Nope, you're gonna see the light. You're gonna see the light one day. That's really all they talk about. And that's why they're both together at 29 and 28. I decided that today, after about 2 or 3 listens of their recent album, and realized that, yeah, they just need to be talked about together. They can't be separated. If I were to separate them musically, I would probably put Our Last Night, the first album, Let Light Overcome, up around 22, 21 is where I originally had it. And then Overcome the Darkness, I would put probably about 35. I was not a fan of really anything on this. I felt that it wasn't their best work. I felt that their first album this year was much better than their second album. So, coming in at now 27 is a personal favorite of mine that I wanted to include on this list. More, it's not so much metal. Well, it's more symphonic metal. Within Temptation's Resist. Now, I have absolutely fucking loved this band for years now. And by years, I mean it was one of the first bands I found when it came to metal. Other being Slipknot, Dragon Force, that area. Within Temptation, I have followed since that day. And I have loved them ever since. In this album, I really enjoyed. I found a lot of the singles that they released for it were really, really fucking good. And a lot of it was pretty good. Then lyrically, it just... Only The Reckoning was the best song off this entire album, and it had a good lyricism. Everything else just felt bland, and it felt not interesting to me. That is what I felt like. I think that it's still a really good album and incredible. If you enjoy any form of symphonic metal, symphonic rock, anything like that, please give this a listen. It's really good, and Within Temptation has an incredibly beautiful vocalist. It has such a range that you will be blown away by how awesome it is. I highly recommend it, and I cannot wait for more albums in this area to be released next year, especially like Camelot, Epica, Delain, etc. Because Delain is hinting at another album. Camelot is expected to, because it's every 2 years, and so on and so forth. So coming in at 26 is a favorite everyone was hyped about, and then it disappeared like a ghost. While She Sleeps, So What? Everyone literally dropped this off the radar after about 2 weeks. Everyone was talking about it, and then no one talked about it. To this day, I don't know anyone who has actually talked about this album since. I seriously don't know anyone who has. I found this album actually really good. That's why it's up at rank 26. I thought that it was a solid album. I think that the first half is incredible. That first half, pretty good. The second half, a little bit dragged on. And I think that lyrically, I know that they're talking about the exact same thing, but when you talk about the same thing over and over in every different song, it just doesn't work. I would just recommend... I know you have a certain theme in your songs, but it's like Our Hollow, Our Home. I love that band so much, but there's only so much you can talk about someone dying that you knew and loved, and moving on from that, and with depression and everything. It just... There's only so much you can listen to about it. And that's the same with While She Sleeps. I would also say Straight from the Path. That's why I don't listen to them anymore. I just don't find Straight from the Path that interesting to me. Because all they talk about is politics and basically fuck Trump. And regardless of your political opinions, that is just what they talk about all the time. And that is just a fact. That is not an opinion. It is just what they do. While She Sleeps talks about the government, about the world, and how it sucks. So, and it's just the same song with a little bit different sounds. That's just my opinion on it. But regardless, I still think it was a solid album. The singles were absolutely incredible. And a lot of people just forgot about it. And I was really sad about that when I was looking through the albums. I was like, While She Sleeps, I still listen to this. I'll throw it on and I'll jam along because I know the words. It just comes on randomly. So that's just me. But anyway, number 25 is an album that I hope to God this band sees this video on Twitter. Because I found the band and I loved the singles to it. I'm not going to show it yet. And I wanted to see where they could go with it. And I think that they impressed me more than I thought they would. That is with Empty's Hope and the Loss of It, their debut album, Into the World. I believe they also got signed with this album as well. I'm not sure if they're signed or not. Empty and the Hope and the Loss of It, I thought that it deserved the rank of 25 because 24 and 23 had been locked for about 4 months now. So I felt that it was a really solid album for a first debut album. I think that for their sound, they did a really good job. and I re-listened to it recently. I actually found I enjoyed it more, but my ranks were so tight, and I was so certain about other album ranks. If anything, I would move it up maybe 2 or 3 spots to maybe 22, 23, around that area, if 24 and 23 weren't so locked in their spot right now. But the biggest thing about this is that here's my personal thing that I want them to hear. I want you to keep going. I'm not going to tell you what I really didn't like about this album. I basically, like, you guys are so split on, like, melodic and heavy post-hardcore. Pick it. Pick one and try it out for an album. If it doesn't work, try out the other. If it doesn't work, just try it out. See what you can do with that sound. Because you're amazing with both heavy and melodic. Just pick one. Don't be mixed, because mixed doesn't turn out well. If you keep one sound the same, you can vary up that sound with a little bit of the other in there occasionally. Because this album was split. Some of it was very heavy, some of it was very soft. But I want to see where you go with this. You can listen to me, you don't have to listen to me. This is just my recommendation for in the future. I say just try out just either pure heavy or pure melodic. See what people like, and see from the singles what is everyone's favorites. What really caught everyone's eyes or what everyone's ears on that what's it called? I don't know. I lost my train of thought there. Regardless, I really enjoyed this album, and I felt that there was a lot of positives to it. There was a few negatives that just kind of overshadowed some of the positives, but I felt that I just felt it was good. Overall, good album. Some positives, some negatives. It's right in the middle, basically. And I cannot wait to see where you guys go with this. So, anyway, thank you so much for watching for this video. The next video will be covering ranks 24 to 20. And then after that, I will cover what exactly we're going to be doing for those ones. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.